Today we look at some nasty boys, Good Boys, our latest raunch comedy featuring a prepubescent cast, and in the stream we have a Netflix gem, American Hangman, on this episode of The Monitors. Last weekend, we saw the release of the long-awaited Good Boys. This newest raunch comedy features a trio of 12-year-olds who find themselves in a far-fetched, perilous, and edgy adventure because one of them has a crush on a girl that he is desperate to kiss. The movie stars child star Jacob Tremblay, who, at the risk of understating this, is always really freaking good. He is joined by Keith L. Williams and Brady Noon. The three of them, Max, Lucas, and Thor, form the Beanbag Boys, because they all have beanbags. It's 12-year-old humor, it doesn't have to make any sense. Some other notable appearances are Will Forte as Max's progressive dad, and Little Ray Howry and Retta as Lucas's divorcing parents. And while the script for the film feels kind of loosely strung together and really could have withstood maybe another revision or two, the strength of the film is, of course, watching these boys navigate their world as they try to be grown up while they still don't know jack about anything. One thing I feel the scriptwriter Lee Eisenberg and co-writer and director Gene Stupnitsky got right was allowing the boys to keep their innocence. Yes, the boys curse and swear a lot. I think the count might rival 48 hours. But these are good boys for the most part. And I think everyone can remember back to their youth and recall all the times when they were out of the house and swore like truck drivers. And their parents were none the wiser, we think. Well, that's pretty much what's going on with Good Boys. The bulk of the film's humor comes when the boys are thrust into adult situations that they clearly have no clue about, but they proceed as if they have it all figured out and jump to conclusions, mostly incorrect. Another of the charms of the story, the weakness of the script, is the late introduction of the notion that at the end of the day, Good Boys is kind of a bittersweet coming-of-age story. These three young actors are the main reason that the notion works to any degree that it does, and it is what gives Good Boys what little heart it has. Unfortunately and ironically, the best praise I can give Good Boys is that it is a story about tweens from the perspective of tweens that cannot be viewed by tweens. But for us grown-ups, it's good for a few chuckles here or there. In the stream on Netflix is one of its new releases, American Hangman. Are you ever at home, like browsing Netflix or Hulu or Amazon, just looking for something to watch and then click on something because it looks halfway interesting and different? That was American Hangman. And then I watched it. The premise is a retired judge is put on trial for his life for the aftermath of one of his highest profile cases, and his abductor has set up cameras and a live internet feed to try the judge on social media in real time. Admittedly, the premise sounds like it could go either way, but when the judge is played by Sutherland, you know it's going to be well acted. Vincent Kartheiser also stars as the abductor. There are two reasons that American Hangman is worth your time to watch. First, Sutherland and Kartheiser put on a masterclass acting workshop. Sutherland is one of the best actors of the last century, easily. He is capable of communicating volumes with just a look or a change in expression, and he is perfectly cast here. Kartheiser is also charged with playing a character that is similarly taxed as Sutherland's. Both of these characters need to be viewed as both culpable and justified, as victims and monsters depending on which argument is being made during the trial. The performers give us that dynamic in spades, and both of them serve the story with excellence. Sutherland may be close to perfect here. The second reason is the story itself. In addition to the two main characters in the center of the drama, there are the police, led by a police lieutenant played excellently by Oliver Dennis. The police are trying to unravel the mystery of both where the judge is being held and tried, as well as diving into the details of the case for which he is being tried with the assistance of a white hat hacker. In so doing, more truths come to light about the nature of the original investigation and how it impacted the trial. The media is of course involved, following the story as you would expect, and then there is the perspective of the common public as they follow the trial. Writer and director Wilson Coney Bear tells us a story that could not be more current and relevant in this day and age. The trial is the centerpiece of the film, but it is far from all that's going on here, and he's making a statement about. Coney Bear shines a stark spotlight on law enforcement, on the judicial system, on the media, and on society, and he does it all successfully with a premise that could have ended up as an episode on Black Mirror, but instead is above that, mostly because of the good cast, well-paced drama, and a competently written monologue that Donald Sutherland just sets on fire with his delivery that transcends the film. American Hangman is what Netflix is supposed to be for. Click on it. Today's show-stopping number is the train station shootout from The Untouchables. Now, I went back and forth on this one because when I watched the abbreviated clip, it struck me as being very dated and over-stylized, and to be fair, it's both those things. But upon the urging of a good friend who said I should do it, I watched a longer cut of the clip and remembers why it worked. Brian De Palma, who was known throughout the 80s as a master of suspense, had built such tension leading up to this showdown with Ness and Stone, taking their positions in the train station and watching Ness, the good guy that he is, help the single mother with her big suitcases and giant stroller try to pull them up all the steps. I'm positive that this was a contrivance of David Mamet's script, but it does tell us something about Ness's journey, but more about that in a minute. Besides, it was way before building code included handicap access, so it was tough titties for anyone who had wheels. Anyway, we all know what happens. Just as Ness is dragging the baby to the top of the steps, Capone's goons arrive with the coveted bookkeeper, and on Ness's 6 is the guy whose nose Ness broke earlier. And when they lock eyes, it jumps off as Ness blows him away with a shotgun to the chest, and oops, he pushes the baby stroller back down the steps. Well, so he has room to have a gunfight. It's classic 80s gunplay. The bad guys can't hit the ground if they aim at it, and Ness and Stone can't miss. All the while, the scene plays in slow motion as bullets whiz by the stroller, which is bouncing down the steps, picking up speed, we think, carrying the toddler to his doom. And oh wait, Ness has just run out of bullets. But Stone sprints into the frame with the single coolest maneuver in the scene. He tosses Ness a revolver while simultaneously catching the stroller before it crashes down. And then there's this.
Got him? Yeah, I got him.
This was the movie that made me love Andy Garcia.
What? Will you stop it?
Take him.
2.
But the scene works not just because of its stylized action, but because of what the violence of the scene says about Ness's journey. Mamet's script spends a lot of time showing that Ness is a good man who is slowly learning that he has to do bad things, while Ness helping the baby up the steps reaffirms that he is not a bad man. The scene does establish that he is a badass. And it's also payback. Acquiring the bookkeeper is a reversal, as it is the first confrontation right after we see Sean Connery's Malone gunned down and asking Ness, "What are you prepared to do?" With shallow breath and through blood bubbles. See Untouchables if you get a chance. It's one of the 80s best crime drama offerings if you don't mind De Palma and Mamet screwing with history. What are your thoughts on this showstopper? Have any ideas for a show-stopping number of your own? Please leave them in the comments below. And as always, please help out our little fledgling channel with a like, and please subscribe for more content. Later, y'all. See ya.